Talk to us a little bit about the adventure that Ralph and... and that's done. Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about the adventure that Ralph and Vanellope are on this time and what the heart of the story is for you?
Well, we venture into the internet, which is so vast and so overwhelming and kind of filled with possibility, but also filled a bombardment of things. And just like the internet and all of us experience, it can build you up, can tear you down. And what we struggle with, which is what the characters struggle with, is reading the comments, pinning our worth on something outside of ourselves. And that isn't just what kids are experiencing, that's what you're experiencing, that's what we're all experiencing. And grappling with that, something that is always going to be a struggle, but if we practice and try to be mindful and live an examined life, that's our best shot.
Why do you think Vanellope is such a loved character?
She's got moxie, and she's got curiosity, and she's not afraid of the unknown. She's not afraid of change, and those are things that are pretty cool. It's very human to fear change and to fear what is not known. We see it in both our countries a lot right now. So I think that's kind of she's almost kind of all of our best selves, and Ralph is kind of I love Ralph so much, but he suffers his insecurity, and that's all of us as well.
It's a great adventure through a really colorful, exciting, bizarre world called the internet. And along the way, yes, the beating heart of the story is this story of this friendship between Ralph and Vanellope, my character and Sarah Silverman's character. And they've been friends for all the time since the last movie, and they've been hanging out, causing mischief, and they start to get a little stir-crazy, and they go off into the internet. And yes, their friendship is challenged and has growing pains, and they end up at a really beautiful place, though, by the end of the film. Both of them grow.
And obviously, John, the first film was so much about these characters learning who they were. How does that journey continue, and can you talk a little bit about what makes Sarah such a beautiful partner to have on that process?
Yeah, the first film they did learn who they were, and they found a friend. Each of them, their first friend. They were both outcasts in the first film. So in this one, we look at not what's it like to get a friend, what's it like to keep a friend, and what are you willing to do, and what do you do sometimes when you're feeling really too close to somebody, or at least you're too afraid to let them go. But it all works out. It all works out for Ralph and Vanellope, and yeah, having Sarah work with. She really channels some kind of inner child when she plays this character, and it's really something to see it. We get to work together when we record together, so I'm looking at her, and it's Sarah, this grown woman, but this child's voice is coming out of her. It's really a beautiful thing. And both these characters are very innocent people, so it's really fun to explore.
Was it because what's quite unique as well is that you were acting against each other, which often doesn't happen in animation, does it? So did that help kind of help the performance really for both of you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Whether you think it's there in the film, I think there is an emotional bond between us in the film, and I think it can only be helped by being in the same room. And you can also improvise if you're in the same room, which you can't do when you're by yourself. Well, you can, but then someone has to match what you improvise. It's a mess.
Well, we saw the internet as kind of an ancient city, like Rome, with one civilization kind of built on top of one another. So it gave this kind of vertical language, to the world, with the oldest parts of the internet being down at the bottom of this sphere that's just continuing to grow, with the newest stuff up on the horizon. And packed. We wanted it to be packed with things. So it's this dense, layered sphere that our two characters kind of get lost in.
We work in satire, and so the internet sort of being the key way of communicating of our age is pretty open to satire right now. We try to do things with loving satire, however, so we look at both the good sides of the internet, which is maybe the greatest invention of our time, and then the darker parts of it, where a person like Ralph, who's really insecure, has some demons he's got to battle. So you know, it's not black and white. We sort of live in the gray area of the internet. But yeah, it's definitely open for some fun.
Talk a little bit about the fun of working with this astonishing voice cast, both returning Sarah and John, and of course our beautiful newcomer Gal.
Well, one of the main reasons that we wanted to make this film is because we love John and Sarah so much. We became very close with them through the first movie. We developed a great friendship. It's like family. And then to add these newcomers to it, this new gal named Gal, Gal Gadot playing a character named Shank, from a video game that Vanellope meets. She was just wonderful to work with, and she brings so much to this character that I don't think any other actress could bring.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's one of the great voice casts ever. Not just amazing actors, but the depth that John and Sarah bring beyond being great actors and amazing comedians. And Gal is really funny, and Alan Tudyk is back, and Alfred Molina, and Taraji P. Henson, and on and on. Even little bit parts are, I think, filled with some of the best comedians working today. So I am thrilled with our cast.
What are you most hoping overall people take away from the film when they walk out at the end of the night?
Well, the message that I walk away from with this movie is that just because two friends in a relationship can't see eye to eye on one particular thing doesn't mean that they can't be friends anymore. In fact, those kinds of moments can actually make a friendship stronger and take it to a level that we couldn't imagine before. That's what I love about the movie.
A little bit about what you and the rest of the team were most excited about putting these characters into a much bigger world this time.
You know, that was kind of the exciting thing. When the idea of the internet came into our conversation, we said, well, that's a world that would be so much fun to explore in the world of animation. And so, as a result, we said, do we have a story to tell? And we thought, well, what if these two characters go in there? They're two characters from a small town arcade who go to the big city, in this case, the internet. One falls in love with it, and one wants to just go back home. And that becomes kind of the emotional core of the story, and that got us excited.
I think obviously the first film was very much about these characters learning who they are. How do you think they continue that journey in this film, and what do you think the underlying message behind all of that is?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The first movie ends with Ralph saying, if that little kid likes me, how bad can I be? And that's such a sweet sentiment for that film. But if you think of that line, it actually means Ralph has more of a journey to go on because he's still defining himself based on what Vanellope thinks of him. Vanellope is a character, she's very strong. So the idea of the internet would never overwhelm her or at all scare her. So it just felt like it was a great way to kind of challenge that in a big way.
What can you tell me about your character, Shank?
Shank? Wait a second, I just lost my earring. Shank.
Real red carpet stuff.
Drama. The
real
drama.
Red carpet drama. I love it.
Shank is a really, really cool character. I'll just leave it like that. Shank is a really cool, thank you, cool character who looks tough from the outside, but she's full of compassion and she's very soft and caring from the inside. And she's kind of Vanellope's mentor on this movie.
Great, yeah. Thank you. I can't wait to see it.
Hi, Gal. It's absolutely... Oh. Gal, it's amazing to have you with us tonight, and congratulations on this film. This is a film that has a lot of heart to it and a lot of important messages. Can you talk about what those are and what most spoke to you about this script?
What most spoke to me about this movie and the script was the whole friendship value and how we can all evolve and change, and you know, friendships and dynamic between people just changes, and it's a good thing, it's not a bad thing. It was kind of empowered women empowering women for me, because Shank is Vanellope's mentor on this movie, and I digged it from the first time I read the script. I really liked it.